Hello, so here's another demonstration about using stage to live server publishing in TYPO3. This time I'm using version 7.2. And I'm going to focus this time on special cases of file publishing. As usual, I have two copies of the introduction package, stage, live server. And here I just have two example images, and I'm going to work with these right now. So the first question to ask is, when I have something like this meerkat photo here, and I decide to rename it, which I can do right here from the module, what happens when I publish that? So, of course, renaming a file is no problem for all of its usages with File Abstraction Layer. But what happens when I publish? Well, here we see, of course, after renaming that, there is still the old file name on the live server. And now this is recognized as a file which does not yet exist on the live server. So when I publish that, the system does recognize that this is a renamed or moved file, and it deletes the old version. Here, deleted. So I don't have to worry about spamming my system with old versions of renamed files. And speaking of versions, I'll just show an example with the other image here. Happens when I change the image content itself and I've activated file tracking. Okay, so show the thumbnail here. That's the little guy. So I'm just going to take Photoshop and I'm going to flip that and maybe crop it a little bit more and maybe change the colors a bit. Okay, and now I'm going to save that right back into my file admin. Overwrite the version I had before. So going back to the publishing module, reloading. Of course, this is now recognized as a changed file. And if I go into the file info, here I can see my changes. It's flipped, it has much stronger colors, and it's cropped in comparison with the remote. And I can also see there were some previous versions. And the history of a file is obviously, it started out as a very big file. I can look at that. So this is straight from the digital camera with 6 MB in it. And then it was cropped. And then it was cropped again. And then comes my new version, which is still unpublished here. And when I publish that, and only then, it gets tracked as another new version. Okay, I can also compare older versions directly. So I can say, okay, what was the difference between number 3 and number 2? I want to see that again. So here we go, number 2 and number 3. And I can also download these files if I decide I want to restart working in Photoshop from an older version that was published before. The only thing that gets tracked is publishing files. If I do a lot of work on my file in the stage system only, basically preparing it, these changes do not get tracked. Okay, so now let's see how this works with text files. So here I have a text file. This is currently in sync between stage and live. And to edit the content, I'll just do a quick detour into the file module. Here I can actually edit the content. So I'll just add a sentence here. Okay, and save that and go back to the file publishing. Okay, so obviously again, this is now a changed file. And when I look at that, I can get my diff between the current local and remote version. And if I want to, I can also just cut and paste the code. And also here I can track versions. So I'm just going to publish that right away. So now I have my new version from my last change. Okay, and here again I can compare. So right now it's up to date, there's nothing to show. But I could compare, for example, that up-to-date current version with the 2 versions before. And I can see changes made. Or I can compare all the way back to the start. So I can really see all the changes that have been done here. And another thing I can see is actual true orphaned files on the live server. So if I just take the live server file system and I just drop a file in there, then right away on the next reload, I see there's an extra file on the live server. And if I'm sure I don't need that one, because it's just left over from something, migration, whatever, I can just delete that without further notice. And it's gone again. Okay, so these are some of the more advanced tools you can use to keep your file systems, your file admin between stage and live in sync and find out what's going on with changes in the files.